The war room smelled of smoke and old blood. Scalrith the Crimson stood before the tactical display, her scales gleaming red in the dim light. Around her, other Drake commanders argued about troop movements and supply lines. She did not join them. Her yellow eyes fixed on one small section of the map, where green markers had turned gray. Gray meant dead. "The Vardos front has stabilized," General Krathnock announced to the room. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "We lost 3 reconnaissance units, but the Kreth swarm has been pushed back 15 kilometers. Scalreth's claws tightened on the edge of the table. 3 units. She knew what that meant. The names would come later, delivered in neat reports with official seals. But she already knew. Deep in her chest, something cold had settled the moment those markers changed color. "Acceptable losses," another commander said. The room murmured agreement. Scalreth said nothing. She was Drake. She was a warrior who had burned enemies by the hundreds. She did not flinch at the cost of war. But still, that cold weight remained. The meeting ended. Scalreth walked through corridors of the Coalition warship, her footsteps heavy. Other soldiers moved aside when they saw her coming. She had that effect on people. 50 years of combat had carved her reputation in fire and fury. In her quarters, she poured water from a crystal pitcher. Her hands were steady. They had always been steady, even when she held her daughter for the first time. No, not daughter. Scalreth closed her eyes, that thing the scientists had created. The memory came anyway. As unwelcome as it always was. 15 years ago, the laboratory, the shame. "We successfully merged the genetic material," the scientist had said. He was a fool, that one. Thought he was creating something wonderful. Drake's strength and resilience combined with human adaptability and creativity. The female embryo is viable. Scalreth had wanted to burn the entire facility to ash. Someone had stolen her genetic material without permission. Someone had mixed it with human DNA. Someone had created a hybrid. The scandal had been enormous. The scientist was executed. But the embryo already lived in an artificial womb. Drake law said all life was sacred once it began growing. Scalreth had been forced to accept it. When the baby emerged, she had scales like a drake, but they were softer, more flexible. Her eyes were yellow but shaped wrong. She could breathe fire, but only weak flames. She was neither drake nor human. She was nothing. Scalreth had named her Lyra because the law required a name. Then she sent the child to be raised by caretakers. Better that way. Better than looking at that face every day and remembering the shame. When Lyra turned 14, she appeared at Scalreth's door. Tall for a hybrid, determined eyes. "I want to join the military," she had said. "Why?" Scalreth asked. "To prove I belong somewhere." Scalreth had arranged it. Partly to get the girl out of sight. Partly because she understood that hunger, that need to prove oneself in fire. She had pulled strings to get Lyra into a mixed-species reconnaissance unit, far from Drake pureblood regiments, far from Scalreth herself. It had been 3 years since she last saw the girl. A chime at the door interrupted her thoughts. Scalreth straightened her spine. "Enter." A young Drake officer stepped inside holding a data pad. His scales were still bright green, unmarked by battle scars. "Commander Scalreth, I have casualty reports from Vardos." "Leave them. There is one that requires your personal attention." The officer shifted his weight. "Family notification protocols." Scalreth's chest tightened, but her face remained stone. "Show me." The datapad displayed a name, Lyra Scaldater. Status, killed in action. "The reconnaissance unit was ambushed by Kreth forces," the officer read from the report. "They were deep in enemy territory when a harvester ship detected them. The unit transmitted a distress signal, but reinforcements could not reach them in time. Biosigns ceased approximately 14 hours ago. We have recovered some remains from the site. We believe— Enough, Scalreth said. Her voice came out flat, empty. You may go. The officer hesitated. Commander, there are procedures. Grief counseling is available. Memorial services— I said go. He left quickly. Scalreth stood alone in her quarters. The datapad sat on her desk like an accusation. She should feel something. Grief, loss, anything. Instead, there was only that cold weight, and beneath it, something she refused to name. Relief. The shame was over. The reminder of her humiliation was gone. She would never again hear whispers about her hybrid daughter. Never again see disgust in the eyes of pure-blood drakes when they learned the truth. Scalreth hated herself for thinking it, but she thought it anyway. She poured more water, drank, stared at the wall. 15 years ago, she had held a baby that wasn't supposed to exist. The child had gripped her claw with tiny fingers, half drake and half human, belonging nowhere. Scalreth had pulled away, handed the infant to the caretakers, never looked back. Now that child was dead in a war zone, torn apart by the Kreth, and Scalreth felt relief. What kind of mother was she? Not a mother at all, she decided, just a Drake warrior who happened to share DNA with a hybrid experiment. That was all it had ever been. The datapad chimed again. A message from Coalition Command, official condolences, forms to sign, options for funeral arrangements. Scalreth deleted them all. Across the galaxy, in the wreckage of a burned forest, something moved. Sergeant Marcus Webb dragged himself through ash and debris. His left arm hung useless. Blood soaked through his uniform. Every breath felt like swallowing broken glass. But he was alive and he had a mission. His scanner flickered weakly. Most of the unit was gone. Dead. He had seen them fall. But one signal remained, faint and failing, 17 kilometers into Kreth territory. Lyra. Marcus coughed blood and checked his weapon. Half a clip remained. Not enough. Never enough. But he had survived worse. He thought about Command's final transmission before communications went dark. Retreat. You cannot win. Acceptable losses. Marcus spat red into the ash. No one gets left behind, he whispered to the empty forest. Then he started walking deeper into enemy territory, toward a signal that told him a kid who should never have been born was still fighting to stay alive. Marcus Webb had been in the Coalition military for 15 years. He had fought in 17 major battles and countless small ones. He knew when to advance and when to retreat. He understood tactics and strategy. But more than anything, he understood something simple. You do not leave your people behind. Coalition Command did not agree. Sergeant Webb, you are ordered to return to base immediately, the officer said across the communication channel. Her face was cold on the screen. Your unit is listed as KIA. The area is too hot for extraction. Marcus sat in the emergency shelter, his wounds hastily bandaged. His scanner showed Lyra's signal, weak but steady, 17 kilometers away. Sir, I have confirmation that one squad member is still alive. One soldier does not justify a rescue operation in that territory. The Kreth have 3 harvester ships in that sector. We would lose more troops trying to save one. Then I will go alone. The officer's eyes narrowed. That is not a request you can make, Sergeant. You are wounded. You are needed here for debriefing. The soldier in question is— She paused, checking her data. A hybrid. Non-essential personnel. Marcus felt rage burn in his chest. Her name is Lyra Skaldaughter. She is my squad member. She is essential to me. Your emotions are clouding your judgment. Report to medical immediately. That is an order. The screen went dark. Marcus looked at his weapons, at his scanner, at the medical supplies in the shelter. Then he made a decision that would change everything. 3 hours later, he was stealing a reconnaissance shuttle from the auxiliary hangar. The alarms started blaring immediately. Marcus ignored them. He had already disabled the tracking beacon and loaded the shuttle with everything he could carry: weapons, medical supplies, rations, ammunition, cutting tools. "Sergeant Webb, you are ordered to stand down." The voice came over the shuttle's communication system. "You are committing a court-martial offense." Marcus flipped off the communications and launched the shuttle into space. He had always been stubborn. His commanders knew it. His squad knew it. Hell, his ex-wife had divorced him because of it. But that same stubbornness had kept him alive through 15 years of war. It had made him a good soldier. Now, it made him a criminal. As he flew toward Kreth space, Marcus thought about Lyra. 2 years ago, she had been assigned to his unit. The other soldiers had not trusted her at first. A hybrid. Neither Drake nor human. Some thought she was weak. Others thought she was strange. Marcus had given her a chance. The first mission proved she could fight. She moved faster than Drake's, thought quicker than most humans. When she breathed fire, it was not as strong as a pure Drake, but she could control it with precision that amazed everyone. But it was not her skills that won Marcus over. It was simpler than that. She had saved his life. They were pinned down by enemy fire. Marcus had taken a hit to the leg. Could not move. The squad was falling back. Lyra, who barely knew him then, had run back through the gunfire. She grabbed him, all 50 kilos of hybrid strength, and dragged him to safety. Got shot twice doing it. Later, in medical, Marcus asked her why. "You did not look at me like I was a mistake," she said simply. From that day, Marcus made sure no one in the unit treated her badly. He trained with her, ate meals with her. When she had nightmares about her mother, he listened. When she doubted herself, he reminded her of every battle she had won. She was not his daughter. He knew that. But his real daughter had died 5 years ago, killed in a transport accident. Sometimes when he looked at Lyra, he felt that same protective instinct. Maybe that made him a fool. Maybe he was throwing away his career and possibly his life for sentiment. But he remembered his daughter's funeral. Remembered standing there thinking he would give anything for one more chance to save her. Lyra was not his daughter, but she was someone's daughter, even if her mother had abandoned her. And she was alive. That was enough. The shuttle crossed into contested space. Marcus flew low using asteroid fields for cover. Kreth sensors swept the area constantly. He had to be careful. His scanner showed Lyra's signal more clearly now. It was coming from a structure on a dead moon. Marcus pulled up reconnaissance data. His blood went cold. It was a Kreth processing facility. The Kreth did not take prisoners for kindness. They took them for experimentation. The aliens wanted to understand other species, to find weaknesses they could exploit. Drakes were hard to kill because of their scales and fire. Humans were adaptable and clever. What would a hybrid be? Marcus felt sick imagining what they might do to her. He landed the shuttle in a crater 5 kilometers from the facility. Then he checked his gear. 2 rifles, 1 pistol, 4 grenades, a combat knife, medical kit. It was not enough for an assault on a fortified position. He would make it enough. Marcus had learned something important during 15 years of war. Humans did not win by being stronger. They won by being stubborn, by being creative, by refusing to quit when any sane species would give up. The Kreth expected soldiers to follow rules, to fight honorably, to use standard tactics. Marcus had no intention of fighting fair. He spent 6 hours watching the facility through his scope, learned the patrol patterns, counted the guards, found the weak points. Then he moved. The first guard never saw him coming. Marcus used the knife, silent, quick. He took the guard's weapon and uniform piece. The second guard heard something and turned. Marcus shot him in the eye. Not honorable, but effective. He worked his way around the facility's perimeter, using every dirty trick he knew. Humans were good at dirty tricks. Deception, ambush, psychological warfare. The Kreth were warriors who valued strength and direct combat. Marcus valued survival. He set small explosives at 3 points around the facility, not to destroy it, just to create confusion. When they detonated, alarms blared. Guards rushed toward the explosions. Marcus went the other direction into the facility's service entrance. Inside, the corridors were dark and narrow, built for Kreth, who were smaller than drakes, but bigger than humans. Marcus moved quickly, checking his scanner. Lyra's signal was coming from the lower levels. He killed 2 more guards, found a security terminal, could not read Kreth language, but he understood diagrams. The lower levels were laboratories, prison cells. Marcus descended deeper. He passed cells holding other prisoners, coalition soldiers, civilians, all in various states of injury. Marcus wanted to free them all, but he only had enough time and supplies for one rescue. He hated making that choice, but he made it. Lyra's cell was at the end of a long corridor. Through the transparent barrier, Marcus saw her. She was alive. Barely. They had hurt her. Bruises covered her body. One arm was broken. Her scales were cracked and bleeding, but her chest still rose and fell. Marcus placed the explosive charge on the cell door, stood back. The blast was small but precise. He rushed inside as alarms began blaring again. "Lyra," he said, kneeling beside her. "Kid, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened, yellow and human-shaped and full of pain. "Sarge?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "You came." "Of course I came. No one gets left behind. Can you walk?" "Do not know." Marcus lifted her carefully. She groaned but did not scream. Tough kid. "We are getting out of here," he promised. Behind them, Kreth warriors poured into the corridor. Marcus turned, holding Lyra with one arm, firing his rifle with the other. Time to show these aliens what human stubbornness really meant. The facility shook with explosions. Marcus ran through corridors with Lyra across his shoulders. She weighed less than full drakes, but his wounds made every step agony. Behind them, Kreth warriors screeched their hunting calls. "Hold on," Marcus gasped. "Almost there." Lyra coughed blood. "You are insane. They will kill you." "They can try." Marcus had planned his escape route carefully. The explosives he planted earlier were not just distractions. They had weakened the facility's outer wall. Now he fired his rifle at the damaged section. The wall crumbled outward. Cold air rushed in. They were 3 levels up. Marcus did not hesitate. He jumped. They hit the ground hard. Marcus rolled to absorb the impact, keeping Lyra protected. Pain exploded through his body. Something cracked. Ribs, probably. He ignored it. "Move," he commanded himself. "Move or die." He stumbled to his feet, carrying Lyra again. The shuttle was 5 kilometers away. Kreth forces would be coming. He needed distance. Behind them, the facility lit up with searchlights. Sirens wailed. Marcus ran across the barren moon surface, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "Put me down," Lyra whispered. "Save yourself." "Not happening." "I am slowing you down." "Then we will be slow together." Marcus had never been the fastest soldier, but he knew how to pace himself, how to keep moving when his body screamed to stop. 15 years of war had taught him that pain was just information. You could acknowledge it and keep going. He ran for 3 hours. When he finally saw the shuttle in the crater, relief nearly broke him. Then he heard the engines. Kreth fighters screamed overhead. They had found him. Marcus dragged Lyra into the shuttle and launched immediately. The controls responded sluggishly. The shuttle had not been designed for combat, but Marcus pushed it anyway. "Come on," he muttered. "Just a little more." Weapons fire lit up space around them. Marcus dodged, but he was no pilot. One blast hit the shuttle's engine. Alarms blared. The shuttle shook. "Warning," the computer said. Catastrophic engine failure. Emergency landing required. Marcus checked the star charts. There was a small moon nearby, contested territory. Neither Coalition nor Kreth controlled it fully. Dangerous, but their only option. "Hold on!" he shouted. The shuttle plummeted toward the moon's surface. Marcus fought the controls. Trees rushed up to meet them. He pulled up at the last second. The shuttle crashed through branches and slammed into the ground. Everything went black. When Marcus woke, smoke filled the cabin. His head pounded. Blood ran down his face. For a moment, he could not remember where he was. Then he heard Lyra moaning. Memory came back in a rush. Marcus unbuckled himself and crawled to her. She was still strapped in her seat, unconscious but breathing. "Lyra," he said, shaking her gently. "Wake up. We have to move." Her eyes fluttered open. "What happened?" "We crashed. Kreth will be looking for us. Can you walk?" She tried to move and gasped in pain. "I think so." Marcus helped her up. Together they stumbled out of the wrecked shuttle. The moon's forest surrounded them. Tall trees with purple leaves, strange bird calls in the distance. At least there was air to breathe. Marcus checked their supplies. Most had survived the crash. Food for 5 days, water for 3, medical supplies, weapons. His scanner still worked. "We are 200 kilometers from the nearest Coalition outpost," he said, studying the map. "We walk." 200 kilometers? Lyra stared at him. "I can barely stand." "Then I will help you stand." Marcus pulled out the medical kit. "First, I fix what I can." He spent an hour treating their wounds. Lyra's broken arm needed to be set. She bit down on a piece of cloth and did not scream when he did it. Tough kid. "Why did you come for me?" she asked after he finished. "Command said no. You could have stayed safe." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, 5 years ago, my daughter died. Transport accident. She was 19. I was off-world fighting. Never got to say goodbye." Lyra's eyes widened. "I am sorry. When I got the report that you might be alive, I thought about her, about how I would have given anything for someone to save her. You are not my daughter, but you are someone's daughter. And you deserved someone to come for you." Tears ran down Lyra's scaled cheeks. "My mother does not want me. She never did. I am just a mistake to her." "Then your mother is a fool," Marcus said simply. "You are one of the best soldiers I have ever served with. Drake, human, hybrid, I do not care. You are brave. You are strong. You are worth saving." Lyra sobbed once, then straightened her spine. "Thank you, Sarge." "Save the thanks for when we get home. Can you walk now?" "Yes." They started walking through the forest. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Scalreth sat in a strategy meeting, but she could not focus. Her mind kept drifting to the datapad, to the casualty report, to a name she tried not to think about. "Commander Scalreth," General Krathnock said. "Your opinion on the offensive?" Scalreth looked up. "What?" The other commanders stared at her. Scalreth never lost focus, never showed weakness. "Are you well?" Krathnock asked. "I am fine. Continue." But she was not fine. Something gnawed at her insides. Guilt, grief, she could not name it. After the meeting, she returned to her quarters and did something she had never done before. She accessed Lyra's military file. The records showed everything: training scores, mission reports, commendations. Lyra had earned 3 medals for valor. She had saved civilian lives. She had completed missions that veteran soldiers failed. Scalreth read every word. This was her daughter, a warrior who proved herself again and again. And Scalreth had never acknowledged it. She found video files, combat footage. In one, Lyra led a rescue of pinned-down troops. She moved with Drake ferocity and human cleverness. She used fire to create a barrier, then organized the retreat with tactical precision. In another video, Lyra saved a human soldier, a sergeant. He had been hit and could not move. She ran through gunfire to pull him to safety. Scalreth recognized the sergeant, Marcus Webb. His file showed 15 years of service, decorated multiple times. Good soldier. She kept reading, found messages between Lyra and Webb, training schedules, meal plans, simple conversations about life and war. "Sarge," one message read, "thank you for teaching me that move today. My mother never taught me to fight. She never taught me anything." Webb's response was simple. "Then I will teach you. You are worth teaching." Scalreth felt something crack in her chest. This human had done what she never did. He had seen value in Lyra. He had been the parent she refused to be. Then Scalreth accessed current reports. She should not have. It was against protocol, but she did it anyway. She found something that made her blood freeze. There was an unauthorized shuttle theft. A sergeant had gone AWOL. The sergeant's name was Marcus Webb. He had gone into Kreth territory alone. Scalreth pulled up tracking data, found the emergency beacon. It was active. 2 life signs. They were on a contested moon, deep in dangerous territory. One of those life signs had Lyra's DNA marker. Alive. Scalreth stared at the screen. Her daughter was alive, and a human soldier had risked everything to save her. For a long moment, Scalreth did not move. Then she stood and walked to the hangar. "Prepare my fighter," she told the deck officer. "Commander, where are you going?" "To clean up a mess," Scalreth said. She did not mention that the mess was her own. The moon's forest was beautiful and deadly. Marcus and Lyra had been walking for 3 days. Every step was agony. Every breath hurt. But they kept moving. "How much farther?" Lyra asked. She leaned on Marcus heavily. Her broken arm was in a makeshift sling. Fever made her skin hot. Marcus checked his scanner. 50 kilometers. 2 more days if we keep this pace. I am slowing you down." "Stop saying that." They had this conversation every few hours. Lyra felt guilty. Marcus did not care. He just kept walking. The nights were the hardest. They had to hide from Kreth patrols. The aliens were searching for them methodically. Marcus used every trick he knew to hide their trail. False tracks, scent maskers, climbing through trees to avoid leaving footprints. "Where did you learn all this?" Lyra asked one night as they huddled in a cave. "Survival training and mistakes." Marcus checked his weapons. Half a clip left in his rifle. 6 bullets in his pistol. 1 grenade. Not much. "When I was young, I thought war was about being strong. But strength runs out. Stubbornness does not." Lyra laughed weakly, then coughed. "Humans are strange." "Maybe, but we are still here." That night, Lyra's fever got worse. She drifted in and out of consciousness. In her delirium, she talked about her childhood. "She never held me," Lyra whispered. "My mother, the caretaker, said she looked at me once and walked away, like I was nothing." Marcus wet a cloth with their precious water and cooled her forehead. "Tell me about her." "Scalreth the Crimson. Great warrior, famous, everyone respects her, except she has a dirty secret. Me, the hybrid daughter who should not exist." Lyra's eyes were unfocused. "I tried so hard, got perfect scores in training, volunteered for dangerous missions, thought maybe if I was good enough she would see me. Would be proud. Did it work? No, she never came. Never wrote. I was assigned to your unit and I thought maybe it was better. Maybe I did not need her. Maybe you could be..." She trailed off. "Could be what?" "Family," Lyra whispered. "You made me feel like I mattered." Marcus felt his throat tighten. He thought about his own daughter, about all the times he was away at war, about the last message she sent him. "Dad, I know you are busy, but I miss you. Come home soon." He had meant to. He really had. Then she died. and there were no more chances. "You do matter," Marcus said firmly. "You are brave and strong and good. Your mother is a fool for not seeing it, but I see it. Your squad sees it. You are worth everything, Lyra." She smiled weakly and fell asleep. Marcus kept watch through the night. His thoughts were dark. They were running out of supplies. Lyra needed real medical care. Kreth patrols were getting closer. The odds of making it to the Coalition outpost were getting worse every hour, but he had survived worse odds before. Humans were good at surviving. On the fourth day, they ran into a Kreth patrol. Marcus saw them first. 6 warriors, heavily armed, moving through the forest in formation. He pulled Lyra behind a fallen tree. "Stay quiet," he breathed. The Kreth walked past. For a moment, Marcus thought they were safe. Then one of the aliens stopped, sniffed the air, turned toward their hiding spot. Marcus did not hesitate. He threw his last grenade. The explosion scattered the patrol. Marcus grabbed Lyra and ran. Behind them, the Kreth screeched and gave chase. "I cannot run fast enough," Lyra gasped. "Then I will carry you." Marcus lifted her onto his back and ran. His wounds screamed, his vision blurred, but he kept going, always kept going. The Kreth were faster. They gained ground quickly. Marcus reached a small cliff. Below was a river, dangerous, but their only chance. "Hold your breath," he said. "What?" Marcus jumped. They hit the water hard. The current grabbed them and pulled them downstream. Marcus held onto Lyra with all his strength. The river threw them against rocks. Water filled his lungs. But he did not let go. They washed up on a bank 2 kilometers downstream. Marcus dragged them both onto solid ground and collapsed. For a long time, neither could move. Finally, Lyra spoke. "You are the craziest human I have ever met." "Stubborn," Marcus corrected. "Not crazy. There is a difference." They had lost most of their supplies in the river, but they were alive, and the Kreth had lost their trail. Marcus checked his scanner. 30 kilometers to the outpost. "We are close," he said. "One more day." That night, Lyra's fever broke. She looked at Marcus in the firelight. "Why did you really come for me?" she asked. "The truth." Marcus was quiet. Then he said, "When my daughter died, I could not save her. I was not there. For 5 years I have lived with that. Every day I think about what I would give for one more chance." He met Lyra's eyes. "You are not my daughter, but when I saw that signal showing you were alive, I thought about her. I thought about second chances. Maybe I could not save her, but I could save you. Had to try. Even though it cost you everything, your career, your freedom." "Everything I had was already broken," Marcus said simply. "You gave me a reason to fix it, to matter again. So maybe you saved me too." Lyra wiped tears from her eyes. "Thank you, Sarge. Thank me when we get home." But getting home was getting harder. On the 5th day, they spotted Kreth ships converging on their position. The aliens had found them again. Marcus looked at his weapons. 6 bullets. That was all. "We cannot fight them all," Lyra said. "No, but we can make them work for it." They found a defensive position in some rocks. Marcus loaded his pistol. Lyra, despite her injuries, prepared to breathe fire. It would not be much, but it was something. The Kreth ships landed. Warriors poured out, dozens of them. Marcus aimed carefully, made every bullet count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Kreth fell, but more kept coming. Marcus drew his knife. "Well, it was a good run." Lyra summoned fire to her throat. "It was an honor, Sarge." They prepared for their last stand. Then the sky lit up with plasma fire. A Drake fighter screamed overhead, raining destruction on the Kreth forces. The ship was painted red. Skalreth red. "What?" Lyra breathed. The fighter made 3 passes. Kreth warriors scattered or died. Then the ship landed between Marcus and the enemy. The cockpit opened. Skalreth the Crimson emerged, her scales gleaming in the sun. She held a plasma rifle. Her eyes swept the battlefield, then found Lyra. For a long moment, mother and daughter stared at each other. Then Scalreth spoke. "Get behind me." Marcus did not argue. He pulled Lyra toward the ship as Scalreth opened fire. 15 years of watching Drakes fight had taught Marcus one thing. They were terrifying when angry. Scalreth was beyond angry. She was furious. Scalreth fought like a storm of fire and fury. Her plasma rifle cut through Kreth warriors. When the weapon overheated, she used her claws. When enemies got close, she breathed fire that turned them to ash. Marcus had seen many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. "Is she always like this?" he shouted to Lyra over the sounds of combat. "I do not know," Lyra said, staring at her mother. "I have never seen her fight." 3 Kreth warriors charged Scalreth together. She grabbed one by the throat, used him as a shield against the others, then threw the body into them. Her tail whipped around and broke another warrior's spine. "Get to the ship," she roared. Marcus dragged Lyra toward the fighter, but more Kreth were coming from the forest. They were surrounded. "We are pinned!" Marcus shouted. Scalreth's eyes swept the battlefield. She made a calculation. Then she did something Marcus did not expect. She retreated to their position. "We fight together," she said. "Human, can you still shoot?" Marcus checked his rifle, empty. He showed his knife. "I can stab." "Good enough." Scalreth looked at Lyra. "Daughter, can you fight?" Lyra's eyes widened at the word. Daughter. Scalreth had never called her that before. "Yes," Lyra managed. "Then we make a stand here, like a proper battle group. Drake strength, human tactics." Scalreth's eyes found Marcus. "I have read your file, Sergeant Webb. You are known for creative solutions." "Creative is a nice word for dirty tricks," Marcus said. "Then use your dirty tricks. I will provide the fire." They formed a triangle. Scalreth at the point, breathing fire at advancing enemies. Marcus on the left, using his knife and taking shots with Scalreth's backup pistol. Lyra on the right, her weaker flames still enough to keep enemies at bay. "They are trying to flank us," Lyra called out. "I see them," Marcus said. He threw his knife. It caught a Kreth in the throat. "Scalreth, need fire on the right." Scalreth pivoted smoothly. Fire poured from her mouth. The flanking group scattered. They fought for what felt like hours. Marcus's wounds reopened. Blood soaked his uniform. But he kept moving, kept fighting. He noticed something. Scalreth kept positioning herself between Lyra and the enemies, protecting her. Every time a warrior got close to Lyra, Scalreth was there. "Behind you!" Marcus shouted. Scalreth spun and caught the attacking Kreth with her claws. "I see him!" "2 more on the left! Lyra, fire!" They moved like a unit. Scalreth called strategies. Marcus implemented them with brutal efficiency. Lyra supported both, her hybrid nature letting her understand both Drake and human tactics. The Kreth began to hesitate. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they found a coordinated defense that cost them dearly. Finally, the remaining Kreth retreated. Silence fell over the battlefield. The 3 of them stood among the dead, breathing hard. Marcus's legs gave out. He collapsed. "Sarge!" Lyra tried to reach him, but her injuries made her stumble. Scalreth caught Marcus before he hit the ground. She carried him easily, her Drake strength making his weight nothing. "The human is dying," she said. "Get to the ship, now." They made it to the fighter. Scalreth laid Marcus in the medical bay while Lyra collapsed in a seat. Then Scalreth flew them out of the combat zone, her claws moving over the controls with practiced ease. Once they were safely in coalition space, she activated the medical equipment, started treating Marcus's wounds. Her hands were surprisingly gentle. "Why did you come?" Lyra asked from her seat. Her voice was small. Scalreth did not look up from her work. "Because I was a fool." "What?" "I read your file. Every mission, every commendation. You are a warrior, a good one, better than I ever acknowledged. Scalreth's hands hesitated. This human risked everything to save you. He saw value in you that I was too blind to see. Tears ran down Lyra's face. You never wanted me. No, Scalreth said. I was ashamed of you, of what you represented, my loss of control, my humiliation. I let that shame become hate, and I took it out on an innocent child who never asked to be born. She finally looked at Lyra. That was wrong. You deserved better. You deserved a mother who saw you, who loved you, who was proud of you. And now? Lyra whispered. Scalreth crossed to her daughter, knelt before her. Now I see you, and I am sorry. I am so sorry, Lyra. Lyra sobbed. Scalreth pulled her into an embrace. For the first time in 15 years, mother and daughter held each other. I thought you were dead, Scalreth said. When I got the report, I felt relief. That shamed me more than anything. What kind of mother feels relief at her daughter's death? You came for me anyway. I came because a human showed me what honor really means. He gave everything to save one soldier, one hybrid who everyone else called non-essential. He saw you as essential, as worthy, as family. Scalreth's voice cracked. He was the parent I should have been. Behind them, Marcus stirred, his eyes opened weakly. Are we safe? He managed. Yes, Scalreth said. Thanks to you, Sergeant Webb. You saved my daughter. I can never repay that debt. Marcus smiled weakly. Just tell her she matters. That is payment enough. She does matter. She is my daughter, my heir. The best of Drake and human combined. Scalreth's voice was fierce. Let the other Drakes whisper. Let them judge. I will burn anyone who speaks ill of her. Lyra laughed through her tears. That is very Drake of you. I am Drake. But you taught me that does not mean I must be blind to worth in others. Scalreth looked at Marcus. Human, you are dying. Your wounds are severe. Yeah, Marcus said. Figured. I will not allow it. You saved my daughter. Now we save you. Scalreth and Lyra worked together. Drake medical knowledge combined with human understanding of anatomy. They stopped the bleeding, stabilized his vital signs, fought for every second of his life. Stay with us, Sarge, Lyra begged. You do not get to save me and then die. That is not how this works. Marcus's eyes focused on her. Stubborn, remember? Then be stubborn now. Fight. So he fought, and with both of them working to save him, he survived. 3 months later, Marcus stood before a military tribunal. The charges were serious: theft, desertion, unauthorized combat operations, but Scalreth stood beside him as his defender. This human violated regulations to save a life, she told the tribunal. He showed more honor than those who ordered him to abandon a living soldier. If you punish him, you punish the very values we claim to fight for. The tribunal was not convinced, until Scalreth played the combat footage. They watched Marcus fight through a Kreth facility alone, watched him carry Lyra across hostile territory, watched him make impossible choices and survive through sheer determination. The room was silent. Humans, one of the judges finally said, are terrifyingly stubborn creatures. Yes, Scalreth agreed, and we should be grateful for it. Marcus was found guilty, but his sentence was reduced to a formal reprimand. He kept his rank. He kept his position. He kept his family. Later, in Scalreth's quarters, the three of them shared a meal. It was awkward at first. Too many years of distance, too much pain, but they tried. The rations here are terrible, Marcus complained. This is Drake delicacy, Scalreth said coldly. It tastes like charred boots. Lyra laughed. He is right, Mother. It is pretty bad. Scalreth looked at them both. Then, surprising everyone, including herself, she smiled. Perhaps we should try human food next time. Really? Lyra's eyes widened. We are a family now. Families compromise. Scalreth's expression softened. I have spent 15 years refusing to bend. Perhaps it is time I learned. Marcus raised his cup. To family, the one you are born into and the one you choose. To family, Lyra echoed. Scalreth hesitated. Then she raised her cup as well. To family, however it comes. They drank together. 3 warriors from different worlds. A Drake who learned to see beyond blood purity. A hybrid who finally found acceptance. A human who proved that stubbornness could save lives. Outside, stars filled the viewports. The war continued. But in this moment, in this room, there was peace. Sarge, Lyra said quietly, thank you for everything. Marcus smiled. You would have done the same for me, kid. I would, but you did it first. Scalreth watched them, saw the bond between them. Once, it would have made her jealous. Now, it made her grateful. Sergeant Webb, she said formally. Yes? When this war ends, you will always have a place in our family, if you wish it. Marcus looked at Lyra, who nodded eagerly. Then he looked at Scalreth. I lost a daughter once, he said slowly. Thought I would never have that again. But if you are offering, then yes, I wish it. Scalreth nodded once. It was settled. They talked late into the night, sharing stories, planning the future, building something new from the broken pieces of the past. And outside, the galaxy turned. Humans continued being stubborn. Drakes continued being fierce. And somewhere, a hybrid daughter finally had the family she always deserved. Not perfect, but trying. That was enough.